Sometimes it's just been so natural to us we don't realize that where may be a strong way to say it is we're cursing our future. You can curse your future where you can bless your future. So be careful what you say. I think I love where you say we need to send out. Well, I think in that case God was saying I am everything 'cause I am right now. Mine is a different take on it. It is what follows the word I am I believe you're inviting into your life. That's part of our message is you don't know what you know. God's dream for your life is bigger than your own. And that's what I've seen. I never dreamed 13 years ago that I'd be sitting here with you or we'd be in the arena where I used to watch the Rockets play. And so Joel Osteen took $4 million in COVID loans meant for small businesses while living in a $10.5 million mansion. His church spends only 1% on charity. He preaches God wants you rich yet charges $15 for tickets to hear him speak. His TV show reaches millions but he rarely mentions sin or Jesus. We're normal people. It's just talking about living a blessed life, being a blessing to other people, being happy, having good relationships. When critics called him fake, he bought another home for $3 million. With declining attendance and mounting criticism, Osteen's perfect smile can't hide the growing cracks. Joel Osteen was born on March 5, 1963 in Houston, Texas. He was one of 6 kids in a home that revolved around church, faith, and family. His father John Osteen had already left the Southern Baptist tradition by then and started something new. It all began after a major shift in 1958 when Joel's sister Lisa was born with severe disabilities. That moment changed everything. John and his wife Dodie turned to faith healing and embraced charismatic Christianity. Just 1 year later in 1959, they founded Lakewood Church in a rundown feed store. It only had 234 seats but something powerful was beginning. By the late 1970s that small space had turned into a growing church with over 5,000 people. Joel grew up watching all this. While his siblings were either preaching or serving, Joel stayed quiet. He didn't want the spotlight. He preferred helping behind the scenes. In 1981, he finished high school at Humble High. Then he went to Oral Roberts University to study radio and TV. But after less than a year, he dropped out. He didn't want a degree. He wanted to build something with his dad. At just 19, Joel made a huge decision. In 1982, he left college and went back to Houston to help with the church's TV work. He started the television ministry that same year. He began small, 1 local channel and 1 national cable network. For 17 years, Joel stayed behind the camera. He produced, edited, directed, and even tracked what suits his dad wore. Every Sunday, he made sure every broadcast looked flawless. He wanted Lakewood to look as polished as any Hollywood show. While others preached, Joel kept pushing buttons, adjusting lights, and editing footage. He had no training in preaching and no formal education in theology, but he was absorbing everything. Editing hundreds of his dad's sermons taught him more than any classroom could. Even then he refused to take the stage. His dad would ask him to preach and Joel would always say no. "You're the preacher," he told him. "I'll make you look good on TV." Then everything changed. In January 1999, on the 17th, Joel finally said yes. He preached his first sermon. 6 days later, his father died of a heart attack. Joel's first sermon turned out to be the last one his dad ever heard. With no warning, Joel was thrown into the role of leading a church with 6,000 members. He didn't want it. He didn't feel ready. No preaching experience. Many doubted him. Still, something clicked. At the time, about 8,000 people came to Lakewood each week. Big for Houston. But not for the nation. Within 5 years, everything changed. By 2004, weekly attendance had exploded to somewhere between 25,000 and 30,000. That wasn't just big. It was the biggest church in America. And it didn't happen by accident. Joel doubled the budget for television airtime. He picked the best time slots in major cities. He filled highways with billboards. But more than anything, his sermons felt different. They were simple, uplifting, full of hope. People tuned in and they stayed. The crowds got so big that Lakewood's 8,000-seat building just wasn't enough. Joel began talking about something that sounded impossible. He said one day they would preach to 100,000 people every weekend. Many laughed. But then came the boldest move yet. It was the old home of the Houston Rockets. This was no small church hall. It was a 16,000-seat sports arena. The lease itself cost $12 million for 30 years with the option to extend for another 30 years at $22 million. But the real shock came from the renovation cost. Lakewood committed nearly $95 million to transform the arena. That's around $158 million today. It took 15 months to rebuild. They gutted the arena and added 5 floors. Inside, waterfalls, miles of new carpet, 200,000 square feet of rooms, broadcast studios, classrooms. Everything had to feel new. People couldn't believe it, a basketball stadium turning into a house of worship. It had never been done like this. In 2010, Lakewood bought the building outright for $7.5 million. But the true shift came even earlier, on July 16, 2005. That was the grand opening. The new Lakewood Church opened its doors and every seat was filled. 16,000 people came in person. Millions more watched on TV. For many Houstonians, the place where they once watched NBA stars was now a church filled with lights, music, and positive energy. And the audience kept growing. Weekly attendance soon crossed 40,000. TV broadcasts reached an estimated 10 million viewers in over 100 countries. This wasn't just a church anymore. It was a movement, a media empire, and Joel Osteen was at the center of it all. What made Joel so different was his message. He didn't preach fire and brimstone. He didn't focus on sin or judgment. Instead, he talked about hope, about dreams, about believing in yourself and trusting God's plan.